Okay. Let's see. Hello. Looks like we've got some people here. Are you messing with that, Chloe?
Actually, where's the audience? Goodness.
Hello. Hi, Tony. Hi, Fede. Okay. Let's wait for a few more people to join, I guess. And yep, we're here. We're just waiting for some bigger audience. Okay. People are flooding in. Cheers from Madrid. Okay, we've got people from Spain coming. Exciting. We used to have music in these. I'm not sure what happened. Guess no music now. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Chloe, how's it going?
Going well. How about you, Alec?
Good. Welcome, everybody. So, Chloe, and I'll introduce ourselves. So, I'm Alec. I'm a product manager for the API. And Chloe.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the HeyGen's webinar. My name is Chloe, solution engineer. Recently just joined HeyGen's. Yeah.
Yeah, we're here to give some exciting updates about the API and interactive avatar. It's been a little while, I think, since we've done one of these, so we have some good things banked up to show everybody. And I think the format will just kind of go through a few, 3 different kind of topics, and we'll save plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to leave your questions in the chat. And we'll make sure to try to get to all of them at the end. But for now, let me share kind of my little presentation, and we can start talking through some of the updates. Chloe, can you confirm, can you guys see my presentation here?
I can. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, the 3 things I want to go through. Number 1, our new Keep Alive API. So this is really long awaited for, probably overdue functionality for the streaming API / interactive avatars. We'll go through that and why it's important that if you're going to be using our streaming API, you want to implement this. Secondly, we have a pretty cool new knowledge base API, which allows you to programmatically create, update, delete knowledge bases on HeyGen that are used for streaming. And then I'll show a quick demo of that, which should be fun. And then we have a kind of a special announcement that I'm not going to reveal right now, but also something that's been requested for a while. So we'll get through those 3 and then get to a Q&A. Cool. So Keep Alive. Whenever you use the streaming API, those of you who have done that know that you're basically creating a FaceTime call with an avatar, right? With an interactive avatar. And when you do that, if nobody says anything, just like a real conversation, there's automatically, the avatar is going to hang up. Basically, the session's going to end if nobody's talking to the avatar. So until now, that's been kind of a binary, either there is a default timeout or there's not. And it's kind of tricky to manage sometimes, because if you just want the FaceTime call, the streaming session to go on longer than 2 minutes, for example, say somebody in your app that you're building, you want to give somebody 5 minutes to respond to the avatar. Maybe it's some kind of coaching or an interview experience. 2 minutes might not be long enough. Of 2 minutes of silence, basically. So in those cases, it's kind of been on the developer, on the API user, to manage that timeout functionality themselves. And it's not always that easy. You got to do it from the back end, and it's kind of been tricky. So we have this new Keep Alive API that we are releasing very soon, possibly later today, tomorrow, but we're going to email everybody when it's officially out. And Chloe, I want to hand over to you to talk about kind of how this will work, why it's important, and how users can think about sort of the new way to manage session length.
Yeah. So cool. Thanks for the intro and the updates. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Can you all see this?
Nope, can't see you yet.
Okay.
I think just click the share screen button at the bottom. There you
go. So this Keep Alive API is mainly related to our streaming API, relevant to our interactive avatar product. So I want to talk about before, when you want to start a streaming session, usually you will start with this API call, new session, streaming.new. We have the capability allows you to set the disable idle timeout to either true or false. So as Alex said, this is mostly like a binary option where by default, the session has 2 minutes of idle timeout. You will either set it to be true or false to disable it. But now with Keep Alive API, which will be a new doc, be updated in this session today, you will have more flexibility to manage your session based on the activity of the end user. So what it does, it will takes in your current streaming ID, and if you want to keep it alive longer than 2 minutes, you will make an API call to HeyGen and passing in the session ID, and we will keep the session longer than 2 minutes until maximum of 1 hour. So that way you have more flexibility if you want to keep the interactive session longer and to stay entertained, make it more entertaining for your end user. I think that's it, but we will send a proper formal updates and update the change log with the given new API later today.
So what do I do, or what does the developer do if they're currently using this disable idle timeout? Should they continue using that? Is this kind of in addition to the new Keep Alive API?
So as mentioned in this page, this disabled idle timeout, it's optional field. So with the new Keep Alive API, you will disregard this field, and we will sunset this probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, given that we have existing customers who are using this feature. That will all be communicating in our email updates or in the change log.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So disable idle timeout fields going away. There's going to be this new Keep Alive API. Everyone's going to get an email about it, all paying API customers. And this will kind of make everyone's lives much easier who's using the streaming API. That's kind of the takeaway. Cool. So I saw there was one also thing that you were sharing, which relates to what's happening next, which is the knowledge base API. So when you're using a streaming API, right, you're really chatting with some large language model. It can be It can be OpenAI, something like ChatGPT. It can be from Google, Gemini, something open source like Llama. So there are really a bunch of options, but the point is that there's a knowledge base, some kind of LLM behind the interaction, right? So on HeyGen, as you may know, you can actually create knowledge bases. So I'll kind of show here. This is our HeyGen Labs site, which you can find on HeyGen just by going to HeyGen Labs at the bottom. And you know that you can have different avatars, right? You can also create your knowledge bases and organize them all here. So this is a newer part of our website. And if you have a knowledge base, you can see by clicking the little edit button, this is what it looks like, right? So you have the name of the knowledge base. In this case, I'm making it just for this webinar. So I'm calling it Webinar Test Knowledge Base. I have the opening intro, which is kind of what it says when the session first starts. So it's kind of its greeting message. I have some links that I can paste in. So it'll take a bunch of information from a website and condense it and put it into this knowledge base. And then I have the prompt, which is kind of how I want it to act, right? So you can recreate all of this without using HeyGen's knowledge bases. You can just kind of put it all in text or do this outside, but it's kind of a convenient thing just for testing. So for now, we have basically these are static, right? So you just create them here. You have to use the web app. What we've added, which I'll show you, is the ability to access them over API. So now you can find this section in our documentation called Streaming API Knowledge Base, and you'll see it has a few different endpoints, a few different functionalities to call. So first is just listing the knowledge bases. So if you want to see which knowledge bases are available, you can call this endpoint. It'll retrieve a list of all of them. You can create a new knowledge base. So if you want to use the knowledge base feature for Streaming API, you can kind of now create new ones dynamically, which is useful. You can update them. So if you have passed in a knowledge base ID, this allows you to kind of update it with new information, and you can also delete them. So I'm going to show kind of a little demo about how this can work and how you can leverage this. So firstly, I guess, just looking for the questions here. So I'm going to share my screen. So firstly, I'm going to go back to HeyGen Labs. I'm going to go to my knowledge base. Are you seeing my screen, Chloe, as I'm going?
Yes.
I'm going to enter a prompt here, okay? I say, you are a friendly interactive avatar, and you remember ask about previous conversations. So I'm going to save this, and I'm also going to grab knowledge base ID. This is where you can grab it, by the way. So I have the knowledge base ID copied. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to open up my IDE here, and you can see this is just our interactive avatar demo. I'm using Cursor, which is very useful if you've never used it. It kind of has the large, it has AI basically to help you develop, and it's really a game changer for those who are less technical. So you can see that I'm basically, what I'm going to do here is after every session that I'm going to run with this demo, every time I talk to the interactive avatar and the conversation ends, I'm going to update that knowledge base with the transcript of that conversation. So I'm basically going to give my interactive avatar my knowledge base memory, because every time it has a conversation with me, it's going to be able to refer back to it. So let's see how it's going to work. I need to refresh this. So here's my knowledge base ID. I'm going going to speak to Anne, the therapist, and let's see what happens.
Alec, can't hear your audio. I think you have to share the tab.
Okay, let me share the tab.
It's
There we go. Hi, how's it going?
Sure. Please go ahead and share the tab. What would you like to talk about?
I would like to tell you about my day today.
Hi there. I'm doing well, thank you. How about you? Is there anything? Got it. That sounds great. I'd love to hear all about your day. What happened?
Today was my daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday to your daughter. That sounds like a special day. How did you celebrate?
So now I've given her these details. I've said today is my daughter's birthday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the session. When I do this, the knowledge base that I had created should be updated with this transcript. So let's see if this is going to work. So the session is over. You can see that well, it didn't quite work, but you can see the transcript here. Let me share the tab. Okay, so here you can see that it did retrieve the transcript successfully from the conversation. There was some error in updating the knowledge base, but maybe we can.
Alec, are you sharing the script?
The script, oh, you should be able to see. Oh, now I got to reshare again. I got to reshare the whole window. So now you can see
Yes.
the window here, right?
Yes.
So you can see I basically is printing out the whole script here. When I say, today was my daughter's birthday, happy birthday to your daughter, how did you celebrate, etc. So now what would happen is, if I go back to this knowledge base, this would appear here in the bottom. And so if I save this and start another conversation, I'm going to share the tab again. Let's see if it will remember what we talked about.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. I had a busy day today.
I'm glad to hear that.
Do you know what happened to me recently? What I was celebrating? Can you hear me? Maybe not. Maybe we got to restart. You kind of get the idea anyway, but
Hey, how's it going?
hey, it's going well. Do you know what I was celebrating today?
Hi. I remember you mentioned that it was your daughter's birthday today. How did the celebrations go?
There you go.
Cool.
So that's the point, right? Is that you can set this up to happen automatically, which with a little change to my
Absolutely. It sounds like you have some ideas.
right, with a little change to my code. If I had fixed that, I think maybe we can even put this demo on GitHub when it's finalized, so people can try it out. But the idea is that after every conversation, you can update basically the brain of the avatar. And you can do this without the API. You can do this outside of HeyGen, but I think we've just made it more convenient to kind of use these knowledge bases and update them over time. For example, if you have, different customers that are speaking with your avatars, right? You can create potentially a knowledge base for each of those customers. So the avatar will remember each conversation it has with different users. You can also just make it smarter over time. If you have additional resources that come out, you can automatically update the knowledge base, add more links, and just keep adding to it. So it's a pretty cool feature. Sorry, the demo wasn't perfect, but I think we'll update this and share it so people can try it out.
I can think of a full range of like use cases for this. Like, for example, if customer using our interactive avatar for customer service, and because now the avatar can remember what the customer was previously asking question, the customer don't need to like ask repeated question or to fill the context for the AI bot. And
yeah, exactly.
Similarly for like training, if this were to be used for like educational training for students, this interactive avatar will give an even more progressive, more interactive training based on different knowledge level or based on previous experience of that students. That's pretty cool.
And we know that training is one of the most popular use cases for the avatar right now. So having that memory, being able to keep track of progress, I think that's a really popular, interesting way to use it.
Can I ask this question? Is there a limitation of the knowledge base, the size of the prompt?
Yeah, so all of the information in the knowledge base total, I think, can add up to something like 100,000 characters. I can confirm that.
That's the limitation for GPT-4 Mini.
Yeah, so the language model behind there is ChatGPT 4o Mini.
Yeah,
so
120.
What does it say? I think let's see. I think 128,000 tokens. Yeah,
That's what I thought. But if customer were to use connect this interactive avatar to their own custom LLM like Gemini, Claude, so the limitation of that knowledge base will be upon the large language model they're using, right?
Yes, and some of them are quite big. I think Gemini is up to like 1 million, but it's still 100,000 words. That's like that's a decent sized book, right? So I think, again, if you're operating at really big scale, this is something that you may need to create yourself. But just in terms of just using the HeyGen knowledge bases, I think this API makes it a lot more convenient to just get going.
Well,
cool.
Thanks so much for the demo and the updates. I think we have a list of questions.
Let me get to the special announcement.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Forgot about that.
So, special announcement. This is another thing that's been requested quite a bit, and let me make sure the website's live. Oh, it's live. Okay. The special announcement is HeyGen for startups. So we have launched, as of today, a program for startups to use HeyGen at a reduced price. And a lot of people ask about this. I think we finally kind of formalized it, and really excited that this is available now. So, so you have two options. And first of all, this takes an application. So you can go to the site now, which is heygen.com/HeyGen for startups, HeyGen-for-startups. Yeah, maybe we can share that link in the chat. And you can click apply, and that'll take you to the application. And you have two options. So Option A, you can get 90% off $10,000 of API credits, or you can get 75% off our enterprise plan. So this is, kind of depends on what you're doing. If you maybe just want to use the HeyGen app to create sort of marketing videos, product walkthroughs, all kinds of explainers, and do that, and all the features on the web app, I think option B is great. If you are building with the API, getting 90% off, that's a lot of API credits. That's a lot of videos you can create, a lot of streaming sessions. So I think we're really, really happy to make this available. And we do have some eligibility, right? Otherwise, kind of everyone claims they're a startup. So you can either be a funded startup or an alumnus of one of the accelerator programs out there. And yeah, please check this out if you have a startup. Cool. Great. Happy to get to the questions now. Chloe, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, can you share the link to the startup HeyGen?
I did put it in the chat, I think.
Cool. So the list of questions are mainly broken down to API related, interactive related, and miscellaneous about webhooks. First question is, can you mention how time is charged? I guess it's session time is charged during this Keep Alive API time period. So
yeah, so it's the same. Keep Alive is just to keep this streaming session active. So every time a streaming session is active, it charges 1 API credit for every 5 minutes. And the Keep Alive API is just a way to keep doing that, basically.
So the conversion is still the same underneath.
Same.
1 credit's equal to 5 minutes of streaming session.
Yep.
And Fernando have a question that they're planning to integrate with HeyGen's technology through API in their own custom front end. Does your API currently support real-time, low latency, conversational interactions that can simulate the human dialogue?
I think that's kind of what we saw in the demo, right? That's our interactive avatar.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention this as well. Like, if you want to have your own custom front end, you can leverage our streaming API, which it's more native way of just like connecting to our backend API, and then you keep your front end essentially. But the demo that Alec was just showing is basically leverage our SDK, which has some level of front end design built already. Yeah, so we have a variety of options for you to integrate.
Yeah.
Afson have a question of, can your API detect the user's spoken languages from the voice input and dynamically switched between multiple languages, for example, Portuguese, Portugal, French, and English in one single conversation? This is a good question.
Yeah, I think this depends on the speech to text engine that you're using, right? So if I'm sharing, let's see the demo. So again, this is our public demo. I mean, if you have any questions, and I think maybe we can just answer a bunch of questions at once here. If you're looking to add the interactive avatar to your website, the best way to get started is to go to this GitHub demo. This has all the components, all the bits and pieces that you'll need, like the building blocks to add this feature to your website, to your product, to your mobile app, whatever it is. So you can see all the different settings here for the API, and one of them is the STT settings. This stands for speech to text. So as I speak, there's an engine that transcribes my speech and turns it into text. There are 2 providers here that we offer out of the box. One is called DeepGram, the other is called Gladia. DeepGram is faster, so the conversation will happen more quickly if you use this. But Gladia actually can switch. It can understand different languages on the fly. So DeepGram is more like it doesn't speak multiple languages. Like once it shows up in a session, if you start speaking one language, that's all it's going to understand. Gladia is like a polyglot. It can speak anything. It can switch between them. So if you want to test this out and you want to try, I would select Gladia here, play with the demo, and see how it works. That's kind of the capability there.
That's cool. I haven't tried out the Gladia one, but I guess because I know multiple languages, I should try it out.
Yeah.
So to summarize, DeepGram is mostly for speed, and Gladia is more on like multilingual support within a session.
Yeah, I think Gladia is multilingual. DeepGram is not, I guess. At least it can't switch different languages in the same session.
Thank you for that. And next question is, can we use AI interactive avatar on our website for learning purposes, and will it be realistic? Once we exceed our quota on scale plan, what would you charge per credit for using enterprise?
Yeah, so I think I saw this question. That's kind of why I just demonstrated the demo again. The best way, Hein, is just to go to our documentation, go to our GitHub demo, and try it out, and you'll be able to see whether it's realistic enough for your purposes.
Mhm.
And if you are on the scale plan, at the scale plan on HeyGen, it's 50 cents per credit for API credit. Enterprise, you do get discounts from that, so you can talk to our sales team if you want. And everything else, I think, is best just done with experimentation with our demo to see how exactly it will work for your website.
Yeah. You can also try our custom interactive avatar, which allows you to upload 2 minutes footage of yourself. And so our model will learn your gesture, your motion, what it look like, your sound, and then you can use that to create interactive avatar for interactive avatar streaming session. So,
yeah.
Next one, what's the best way to connect to a chat custom GPT since plugins are no longer available? Does it has to be done on the developer platform?
Yeah, custom GPTs, I think, are actually not available over API, as far as I know. So I think if you want to create, your own GPT on the OpenAI website and have an interactive avatar be powered by that, the best way to start, I think, is to look into like the assistance API from OpenAI or the responses API. So OpenAI has a bunch of products now, and I think the custom GPTs are not really compatible, but other products that they have are basically the same thing. You can add documents, you can have create a system prompt, and kind of make a custom AI experience, I guess, and then you can connect those to the HeyGen streaming API. So you can go explore those options.
Got it. Thank you so much. Next question is, can we inject context-based on current user talking to our interactive avatar during an existing call?
Yeah, so I think, Chloe, what this would be, right, is so the knowledge base, and there are a few questions to this, the knowledge base is loaded up on the session start.
Mm-hmm.
It is the knowledge base that you've created on HeyGen or wherever else. That's kind of the starting place, right? If you want to inject additional context, we are going to be adding that as well to the API. It's not quite there yet. So yeah, the best way to think about the knowledge base is that it's sort of the chunk of knowledge for the start of the session.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to update it over time so that it's available in the same conversation, yes, you would need to use, I think we're going to add basically a system prompt parameter so that when you send a message from the user to the interactive avatar, you can also add additional context at the same time. So that will be coming, but for now, yes. For example, if you do update a knowledge base with the new API, you're going to need to start a new session for that knowledge base to be applied.
Gotcha. But within the UI, user do have the ability to add additional context, like just putting the website URL that you were demonstrating?
Yeah, but it's not at the same time, right? It's not like in the middle of a conversation.
It has to be before you start, initialize the session. Got it.
Exactly.
Another question for Fernando. With the API, can the avatar express emotion during the interactions, or does it maintain a neutral emotion? Can emotional expressiveness be dynamically controlled via API based on the context or based on the user input? This is a good one.
Yeah, what do you think? How do I get my avatar to smile?
Facial expression, I'm not sure, but voice customization, you can, before you initialize the session, you can set the voice setting to be like emotional, excited, frustrated, boring, kind of. And so that will change the voice of tone of that avatar during the session. Facial expression, are we there yet? Is the technology there yet?
So the technology is not there, and it can be. I know people are asking for this because they've seen our new Avatar 4 on the website, and so they're hoping that this will be available in the interactive avatars. Unfortunately, right now, kind of the expression that your avatar has when you film your footage, right? When you create an interactive avatar, a custom one, it's basically you're filming yourself for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And so kind of the expression you have during that footage is what's gonna be reflected. That's the whole range. So it can't smile on demand or frown on demand. It won't be able to do that. But you're exactly right. The voices are going to be more dynamic, especially if you use the real time voice demo. I think, Chloe, that you've worked on.
Yeah.
It's going to be very dynamic based on the script, like what it's being asked to say. Some of these other features, I think, will be coming to the HeyGen web app. It'll be great to have everyone show up to our keynote on June 3rd. I think there'll be some things that Craig and Fernando will be excited about. So yeah, sign up for a HeyGen keynote on June 3rd.
Yeah.
See the newest, latest and greatest that we have.
Okay, I will skip the repeated ask question, like such as, can interactive avatar be used on a custom front end using the API? The answer is yes. We have a good variety of like integration options. Feel free to explore our product in docs.heygen.com. And next question is, can all real-time interaction be fully handled via HeyGen's API, including voice input, lip sync, emotion, language switching, or third-party tools are needed for a full experience?
Well, Chloe, what do you think? I mean, all of these really, we talked about the emotion, but everything else, yeah, you don't need any third-party tools.
Yeah, so that's actually our bread and butter, I would say, for our interactive avatar is we include all those ingredients, including our best lip syncing technology. We integrate with different vendors, so you don't have to shop with different vendors. You would just have to integrate at one stop. Language switching, like Alec mentioned, those are included if you change the model to be Gladia. Voice input, yes. So I guess that answers that question. Next one, how can we connect interactive avatar responses to other structures data, third-party systems, or to MCPs? More contextual goals.
I think that the way to think about this, right, is that the avatar is just the face, right? The brain of the avatar, like what it says, where the information comes from, can be anything, because you're really just providing our HeyGen API with text that you want the avatar to say. So, as I kind of talked about earlier, right, we have this speech to text component in our SDK. So when a user speaks, that gets transcribed to text. You can take that text and send it anywhere. You can send it to some sort of, you can connect it to some MCP or some other database or something that, whatever you want, basically. And then to be able to, return that and have the avatar speak it, it's very simple. You just send, a sentence to the HeyGen streaming API, and the avatar says whatever you've sent it. So that's pretty simple. And definitely recommend looking at our docs and our SDK documentation to kind of understand how this works.
I'll link it here. So I'll link our SDK reference docs here, which have a list of event listener and interfaces that you can leverage. The one that Alec mentioned was I think it's an event call.
User talking message.
Yeah, avatar talking message. So when this is triggered, avatar will send out the message, the dialogue essentially, and you can export that.
Well, that's the event when the avatar has already been told what to say, right? It's like when the avatar finishes speaking, that's the event that's going to be triggered, and you're going to get that's how you create the transcript of the conversation.
Yeah, there's also another avatar end messages, right?
Yeah, that's when it's done speaking, but there's no content there. Yeah, so this, I think, just going through the reference, maybe we can paste that in the chat would be helpful.
Yeah, let me paste that again here. The last question, not second to last, can we create real useful knowledge by adding PDF text file or any complete website? This will be helpful. Now it's scraping a website and connected to. Yeah,
he's correct. Right now, if you add a link to the HeyGen knowledge base, it's just going to be scraping and kind of condensing the information on that website. If you want it, if you don't want to lose any of that data, if you just wanted to provide access to like a huge PDF or something and have it be able to search through all that, you're best going to something like the OpenAI Assistant API, which I think hopefully we can pin that resource in the chat there. But that is going to be a much more robust way to provide information. We have a demo of how you can connect the interactive avatar to that assistant API, so you can kind of use that as a starting place. But everything else should be pretty much the same. It shouldn't be a worse experience.
And then the last question will be around building with API is over our head. Is there an interface coming along that might assist creating those apps with no code and minimum code?
Well, we do have the embed.
With the turbo links.
Yes. So you can definitely, I don't know, Chloe, you can maybe show for Clint kind of where to find that, I guess.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Labs. It's taking a while.
Oh my gosh, I can share it. don't know, whatever room you choose to do these webinars from, Chloe. I think maybe you're gonna find a different room.
Definitely, it's the room and the internet.
Yeah. So if you go to HeyGen Labs, you'll see we have, these examples, right? You can go to integration guide and you'll see how to embed this on your website by using one of these using this embed button, or you can share it. And these are easy ways to have others interact with your avatar without kind of any coding, or in the case of the embed, very, very minimal, one line that you just paste in your website. So these are good resources for Clint.
Yeah, and then Jessie has a question of, do we have webhooks or connection to tools, which I can forward her some docs.
Yeah, she might mean for the streaming API, right? Like, is there function calling with the streaming API? I think the answer is you just like the previous question, you would need to use the OpenAI Assistant API, which has function calling. That should be kind of the brain of your interactive avatar. HeyGen, like the HeyGen knowledge base, doesn't have that currently. So that's kind of the answer.
And last logistic question is around, what's the pricing plan look like for HeyGen for startup?
Yeah, the price does apply to the API plan. Yeah, so I think as I mentioned, we have two different ways that you can. What am I sharing here? .com/HeyGen for startups. So yeah, there are two options for the HeyGen for startups plan. So option A is basically 90% off an API plan. And the second is for the HeyGen web app. So you can kind of choose one. So this would be, essentially $1,000 for API credits, for like 20,000 API credits. So that's a really good deal. Those are the options. So yes, it does apply to API.
Can we share this link to this website? I think.
Yeah. Put it in the chat there.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I think that about does it. So again, yeah, everyone will get an email. If you're a subscriber to a HeyGen API plan, you'll get an email probably by tomorrow for Keep Alive API. If we put this demo up on GitHub, we'll include that link so you can check out the knowledge base API. And yeah, please reach out, use our community. Go to docs.heygen.com/discuss or HeyGen community, the API developers group, and yeah, feel free to ask us any questions. I think that's all.
Also wanted to encourage everyone to subscribe to HeyGen's community events. Every week and almost every day, we have new events coming up to demonstrate different set of products for a different level of users for various use cases. So every Wednesday, me and Alec is running interactive avatar demo and Q&A and troubleshooting session as API office hour. So if you're interested, definitely register. Thank you, Alex. I think this is great.
Okay, thanks, Chloe. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.